The fight for Lil Scrappy has been a difficult one of anxiety, uncertainty, and times when optimism felt like a far-off dream. Doctors were hesitant and grim-faced just days ago when they told his family that there was no guarantee of recovery. As they waited anxiously for information on the health of their favorite rapper, fans were left stunned and glued to their screens. While close friends feared the worst, his mother, inconsolable, had been begging for prayers. There were a lot of worried messages, rumors, and even rumors on social media that Scrappy might never be able to live the life he had known again. Now, however, everything is different. In a stunning and surprising development, doctors have finally approved. Despite all odds, Scrappy's condition is getting better, and he's turning out to be stronger than everybody thought. The business has been rocked by the revelation, and everyone is wondering how this happened. What caused this amazing discovery? What does this signify for Scrappy's future, above everything else? Prepare yourselves, because we will be delving deeply into the specifics of Scrappy's amazing comeback, the heartfelt responses from his loved ones, and the behind-the-scenes drama that nearly turned everything upside down. Fans of Lil Scrappy have been up at night, checking their accounts in the hopes of finding positive news. There had been a sense of despair brought on by the somber updates and his family's sorrowful cries. Now, however, everything had turned upside down. The once clinging-to-life rapper had suddenly exhibited symptoms of surprising recovery. A close family member who had visited Scrappy in bed late last night started it all by posting a mysterious note online. When you least expect it, miracles happen. Continue to pray. Fans started making assumptions within minutes. Is Scrappy awake now? Had the physician's evaluation changed? There were no formal confirmations yet, but the excitement was growing. The breakthrough moment then came early this morning. After being silent for days, Scrappy's mother, Mama D, eventually uploaded a video. Her voice was trembling and her eyes were red, but not out of sadness. Relief was felt. "My baby is fighting," I said. She hardly contained her emotions as she uttered, "He's stronger than they thought." We just heard from the doctors that Scrappy has a good chance of getting better. The internet took off. Social media was inundated with happy and incredulous remarks from fans, other rappers, and celebrities. Hope was back after days of gloom. However, things were more convoluted behind the scenes than they appeared. Despite their optimism, the doctors exercised caution. It would be a difficult road for Scrappy to return to full health because he was still in danger. The emotional roller coaster had been too much for Scrappy's loved ones to handle. The family had almost given up 2 nights earlier. Some doctors thought his body might not react to treatment because of the way his condition had been becoming worse. There had been a lot of stress in the hospital room, hushed chats, silent prayers, and the overpowering fear of losing him forever. Scrappy's estranged wife, Bambi, has been having emotional difficulties. Prior to his hospitalization, they had been going through a difficult time, but it didn't matter now. Even when he was asleep, she had been by his side, keeping an eye on the monitors and saying encouraging words. "I'm not concerned with anything else." According to reports, she had told a pal, "I just want him to be okay." In the meantime, Mama D, his mother, had been a formidable opponent. She had put up a fierce fight to secure the greatest medical professionals, the best care, and the best prayers. She had even argued with hospital employees at one point, requesting more forceful care. "My son is not abandoned by you. The stats don't matter to me." According to an insider, she had yelled at a doctor, "He's a fighter." She wasn't mistaken either. Even the most seasoned medical experts had been taken aback by Scrappy's retaliatory actions. The early hours of the morning marked a turning point. After being inactive for days, Scrappy suddenly began to move. He only made a tiny twitch of his fingers, but it was sufficient. It was interpreted by the physicians as evidence that his body was at last reacting. More progress was made by lunchtime. For a moment, Scrappy's eyes had opened, and he was conscious of his surroundings, but still weak. A nurse who had been keeping a close eye on him explained the situation. At first, he appeared perplexed, as if he was attempting to locate himself. He then turned to face his mother, and I can assure you that he recognized her. The word got around like wildfire. With tears in their eyes, family members hurried to his bedside. At last, his daughter, too small to comprehend the gravity of the situation, was permitted to see him. "Daddy, wake up," she whispered as she grasped his hand. After first bracing the family for the worst, the physicians now had a different news. One of them remarked, "There is genuine hope, but he is still in danger. His vitals are stabilizing, and if this trend keeps up, a full recovery might be in the cards." Even while this news was encouraging, there was still a significant barrier to overcome. Because of his fragile body, Scrappy would have a difficult and uncertain road to recovery. Amidst all of this, tensions were starting to increase among his close group and family. Not everyone agreed on what should happen next, even as everyone was applauding Scrappy's advancement. Some family members disagreed with the rigorous recovery plan his medical team had in mind. Mama D, who had always had a big impact on Scrappy's life, thought that spirituality should be the main focus of his rehabilitation. "We should treat this as a miracle," she informed the family. To incorporate them in the process, she had already reached out to a number of spiritual healers and pastors. Bambi, however, wouldn't have it. She desired a purely medical strategy. Experiments are not appropriate at this time. She contended that he requires expert care, rehabilitation, and science. Their argument escalated into a furious argument that almost resulted in a full-scale altercation in the hospital. Scrappy's close buddies, however, were worried about their own things. Some of them thought that after he recovered, he should cut off contact with some people who had only contributed negativity and drama to his life. He needs a new beginning if he survives this. One of his longtime pals was heard declaring, "No more toxic energy." The issue of Scrappy himself then came up. He was barely conscious now, but as his strength began to return, he would be the one to decide his own fate. Would he pay attention to his mom? Would he and Bambi make amends? Or will he choose a completely different route that nobody anticipated? There was no doubt that this story was far from over. The atmosphere in Scrappy's hospital room was tense. Behind the scenes, the struggle for control over his recuperation was intensifying, despite the fact that his health had improved and the physicians were now cautiously optimistic. Varied people had varied opinions about what was best for him, including his mother, Mama D, his estranged wife Bambi, and his close friends. And as Scrappy gradually came to, he was going to awaken to a drama that had been building while he was away. Something happened in the wee hours of the morning that shocked everyone. After barely being able to keep his eyes open the day before, Scrappy discovered his voice. The whole room froze when he spoke, albeit it was feeble, hardly more than a whisper. "Where is Bambi?" The room became really tense. After sitting by his side for hours, Mama D appeared to have been smacked. As soon as she heard his voice, Bambi, who had been outside in the corridor, hurried inside. With tears already pouring down her cheeks, she declared, "I'm right here." She took his hand and squeezed it firmly. "Scrap, I am here. I'm present." Scrappy's eyes opened, and for the first time since his health deteriorated, he appeared to be completely conscious of his surroundings. However, the moment was fleeting. He muttered, "Everyone, leave." His remarks were clear despite his scratchy voice. "I must speak with Bambi." By themselves. There was a thick quiet in the room. Mama D's face grew serious. The first thing he wanted was to be alone with Bambi after she had been by his side every day, battling for him and never giving up. "No, Mama." "Scrappy, baby, I think we should," he interjected. This time, he spoke a little louder. "Please." All of them reluctantly left the room, but not before Mama D gave Bambi a lethal glance. She had no faith in Bambi. Not with all that had transpired between them. Furthermore, she wasn't the only one who was worried. Scrappy's connection with Bambi had been strained prior to his hospitalization. Rumors of disputes, betrayals, and even possible adultery had been circulating during their acrimonious split. While some accounts implied that Bambi had already moved on, others asserted that Scrappy had been spotted out with other women. But that didn't seem to matter now that Scrappy was battling for his life. All of her wrath and animosity vanished the instant she saw him weak and helpless. She knew she still had feelings for him. Did he share that sentiment, though? Wincing a little from the agony, Scrappy inhaled deeply within the hospital room. His mind was sharper than ever, but his body was frail. He acknowledged, "I thought I was done for. I didn't think I'd wake up." Bambi gripped his hand tighter and muttered, "Don't say that." "Scrap, you scared me. We were all frightened by you." Something she couldn't quite decipher was visible in Scrappy's eyes as he gazed at her. "I have no idea what will happen next. However, I must know if we are finished." Bambi's breath caught. It was the same question she had been asking herself for days. She had been sure their marriage was over before all of this. Now, though, it felt different now. "I'm not sure," she said. "I simply know that I want to keep you around." But the door sprang open before Scrappy could react. Refusing to allow Bambi to take charge, Mama D bounded back into the room. "This is enough," she yelled. "Scrappy, you need to sleep, baby. You don't need to be stressed out, and you most certainly don't need to be going through this now." With fire in her eyes, Bambi rose to her feet. "Pardon me. Like you, I've spent a lot of time here. I am the only one who has the right to speak with him." Mama D laughed frigidly. "Oh, you're worried now. Before he became ill, you were all tearing one another apart. Where was all this energy? When you were off doing whatever it was you were doing, where was all this love?" Bambi balled her fists, but Scrappy moaned before she could respond. "Will you all refrain from doing this now?" Although both women fell silent, there was a strong sense of animosity in the air. While Scrappy was recuperating, his family was in danger of disintegrating. Scrappy's close buddies were also getting involved outside the room. Some of them supported Mama D, thinking that Bambi was only present because of the publicity that Scrappy's illness had garnered. Some said that Mama D was being overbearing by not acknowledging her son's independence. As if things couldn't be any more hectic, an unexpected guest, someone no one was expecting, arrived. At the height of the tension between Bambi and Mama D, the hospital doors opened and an unexpected face entered. The mother of Scrappy's first child and his ex-girlfriend is Erica Dixon. She practically lighted up when Mama D saw her. She spoke loudly enough for Bambi to hear. Now, this is the woman who really has his back. Erica disregarded both of Bambi's eye rolls. She entered Scrappy's room directly after passing the drama. With a look of surprise on his face, Scrappy glanced up at her. Why are you here?" Erica crossed her arms over. "I heard you weren't feeling well. I didn't want my daughter's father to face this ordeal alone." Scrappy let out a sigh. Although he hadn't spoken to Erica in months, he secretly wasn't shocked when she appeared. She always managed to turn up when it counted most, regardless of how tumultuous their past was. "Thank you," was all he said. Bambi was enraged outside the chamber. "Oh, she cares now? She spoke something to herself." Mama D grinned. Erica has always been family, in contrast to some others. Scrappy was trapped in the center of the war lines as they were being drawn. None of that mattered now, though. His career was a new worry that was already occupying his thoughts. Would his ability to perform ever return? Would he be able to resume his musical career? Or did this mark the start of the end for his career in the field? One thing became evident as Scrappy's vigor gradually returned. This was only the start of a brand new conflict. Despite his weariness, Scrappy lay in his hospital bed with his mind racing. Even though his body was still feeble, the turmoil all around him was more powerful than before. Tensions that had never really subsided had been rekindled and old wounds reopened by Erica's unannounced entrance. While Bambi was barely controlling her rage, Mama D was practically cheering, behaving as though Erica was Scrappy's true support system. In the midst of all of this, Scrappy began to doubt everything. Erica said, "Scrap, you don't need to worry about this right now." She had ignored the glares coming from the corridor and drew up a chair next to him. "Pay attention to getting better." Scrappy rubbed his forehead and sighed. "That's the problem. I have no idea what better looks like these days." He was discussing more than just his health. He was discussing his life. His profession, his family, and his marriage all seemed to be on the brink of collapse. Bambi returned to the room, having finally had enough of waiting outside. With her eyes fixed on Scrappy's, she firmly stated, "We need to talk." Erica arched an eyebrow but remained motionless. Standing at the doorway, Mama D smirked as if she were anticipating a brawl. "Alone?" Bambi continued. Erica gave Scrappy a quick look. "Do you want me to leave?" After hesitating, Scrappy nodded slightly to her. "Yes, let me take care of things." Erica sighed, got to her feet, and walked by Bambi, glaring at her as she went. Bambi didn't pay attention to it. She didn't want this to become another power struggle between Mama D and Erica. It has to do with her and Scrappy. Her look softened as she took a seat on the side of his bed. "Scrap, do you want me here at all?" Scrappy scowled. "What sort of inquiry is that?" "A genuine one," she remarked. "Because I don't know where I fit in anymore, given the way your mom has been acting and the way Erica just walked in here like she still belongs in your life." Scrappy let out a slow exhale. He detested the complexity of the situation. He and Bambi had been close to ending their relationship prior to his health emergency. Now, though, when he most needed love, she was there to give it to him. He acknowledged, "I'm not sure what's going to happen with us. However, I am aware of your presence here. It has some significance." Bambi nibbled on her lip. "But is it sufficient?" The door flew open once more before Scrappy could respond. This time it was Diamond, one of his best pals, who appeared to be in a panic. Then she gasped, "Yo, Scrap. We have an issue." Scrappy let out a moan. "Now what?" Diamond paused before responding in a quiet tone. "The label." Scrappy's eyes grew wide. "How about them?" she remarked. "They're considering replacing you, Scrap. They say they don't want to take any chances because they don't know if you'll be able to recover. They have already begun looking for another candidate." There was a thick quiet in the room. Bambi's eyes flashed with terror as she glanced at Scrappy. "They are unable to accomplish it. You have not yet left the hospital." Diamond let out a sigh. "Don't wait, business, Bambi. They must ascertain whether Scrappy will be able to perform once more and at what time. They aren't really sure." Scrappy's jaw tightened. He had put in too much effort and battled for too long to let it all go now. His identity was his music, not simply his career. "I must speak with them," he stated forcefully. Diamond gave a head shake. "Not in your state. First, you must concentrate on strengthening yourself." Scrappy, however, was not listening. He had to disprove the label's belief that he was finished. He grunted and began to sit up, squirming in agony. Bambi stopped him instantly by putting a hand on his chest. "No, Scrap, you're not prepared. I have no other option," he declared. "They'll take it away from me if I don't fight for it." With fire in her eyes, Mama D, who had been listening in, entered the room. "My son isn't being replaced by anyone," she said. "If I have to, I'll phone those idiots myself." Bambi gave an eye roll. "This is not something you can just repair, Mommy D." "Well, a broken marriage isn't either, but you've still tried, haven't you?" Mama D retorted. "Enough," moaned Scrappy. All of this fighting wasn't helping his pounding head. Everyone fell silent and kept a careful eye on him. "Look," he said in a strained tone. "I'm not sure what will happen between Bambi and me. I'm not sure if I'll remember the label. However, I am aware that I am not finished. Not quite yet." Bambi grabbed his hand once again and squeezed it. "Then, Scrap, fight for it. However, do it correctly. First, get better." Scrappy glanced at Diamond, then at his mother, and finally at her. He felt hope for the first time in weeks, something he had not had in a long time. It would not be simple. People were still waiting to see if he could survive, and there were still fights to be fought. However, one thing was for sure. Scrappy was not going to give up. Not right now. Never. Although Scrappy's path has been an emotional roller coaster, it appears like there is finally hope after a great deal of hardship. Though the battle isn't yet done, the physicians have offered hope. Will Scrappy completely return and disprove everyone? Will the doubts affect his music career? And can he really move on from this drama without further trouble in his relationships? There is little doubt that this tale is far from over, and we will be here to follow it through to the end. In your opinion, what will occur next? Please share your opinions in the comments section below. Additionally, be sure to hit the like button, subscribe, and enable notifications if you don't want to miss the next update on Scrappy's recuperation. What follows is something you won't want to miss.